Hello friends, and welcome back to Rachel's Baking Corner. Today we will be making peach cake with whipped brown sugar frosting. Sounds like summer ready to just be in my mouth. So this recipe takes a couple shortcuts that I'm actually really excited to try. This recipe also kind of harkens back to our pistachio muffins a little bit, in the sense that the peach flavoring will be coming from Jell-O mix. The basis of the cake is a standard yellow box cake mix. We're going to be using some frozen peaches, some Jell-O mix to really get all of that vibrant peach flavor and moisture in the cake, with a really luscious whipped brown sugar frosting. I've never really had a peach cake. I've never had peach and brown sugar together, but it sounds fantastic. So without further ado, we'll talk ingredients, we'll talk tools, and then order of operations, and we'll get baking. All right? Fabulous. When it comes to the ingredients, as you can tell, I don't have a very full table, so it's not a lot, which is what I like. First things first, yellow box cake mix. This is 15 ounces. I went with classic Betty Crocker because she has never failed me before. 2 3-ounce boxes of Peach Jell-O powder, the Jell-O mix, not pudding. 4 eggs, room temperature is best. 1 cup of oil, unflavored, your usual canola or vegetable. And then a 16-ounce bag of frozen peaches cut up into bite-sized pieces. In the recipe it says cut in half. I cut them into smaller pieces so they wouldn't be monstrous. And that's it for the cake, okay? When it comes to the frosting, we have a stick of butter, room temperature. We have 2 cups of brown sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2/3 cup of heavy whipping cream or heavy cream. You're also going to need an ice bath to prepare the frosting. It will not be included in the recipe. It's just a way of preparing the frosting. I will be using a large round cake pan, my hand mixer, my whisk. This isn't a whisk, this is a spatula, not a whisk, my spatula. And that's it. So we are going to mix the ingredients. We're going to bake the cake. I'm gonna be using my toaster oven for what it's worth. No surprise there. Let the cake cool. While the cake is cooling, we will whip up our frosting, literally. And then once it's cooled, we're just gonna top it with the frosting, make it look kind of pretty, maybe add a little sprinkles, I don't know yet, just depends on how I'm feeling, and then give it a taste. I'm pumped. This is gonna be easy, this is gonna be delicious, and it's May. It's time for summer. Let's do it. Let's celebrate summer today. All right, let's get moving. Cake time. We've got our packaged, hard to open cake mix. Good gracious, very difficult to open. Just put that in our mixing bowl. Jell-O. It was a little hard to find peach Jell-O. It was really easy to find pistachio pudding when I made the muffins, but peach Jell-O, it's a little more difficult. 2 boxes. Ooh, it smells like peach tea, like the Crystal Light peach tea. I'm just gonna use one of my mixer whisks to just whisk the batter and the Jell-O together. Next, we add our 4 eggs. And lastly, 1 cup of oil. Again, neutral in flavor. Canola or vegetable, something like that. We are going to whip this together just until well combined. Don't want to overmix it, but honestly with boxed cakes, why is that so hard for me to say? Boxed cake mix. It's never really failed me to overmix it. If anything, it gets almost lighter and fluffier, but whatever. Of course, I'm starting off slow so I don't wear my ingredients. Then we can turn it up. I'm going to turn this off really quick and scrape the sides of my bowl, because a lot of that Jell-O powder has kind of flung clung, stuck to the side of the bowl. It is a beautiful, I wouldn't even call it peachy, it's more apricot-y in color. I guess peachy, they're pretty much the same thing, right? Peach, apricot, whatever. It's on my hand. One more mix. It's a thick batter, I will say that. That's okay though. Let's taste it. Gritty. That Jell-O powder is gritty, but I mean, it tastes great. I don't know if I'd say it tastes like peaches, but it tastes good. Now we're gonna add our frozen peaches. Once again, I cut these up into smaller bite-sized pieces. And we're just gonna fold this into the batter. The recipe recommends using a stronger, like wooden spoon, but my spatula is doing a good job. Oh, I'm so excited to eat this. Okay. So my assumption is the peaches are slowly gonna thaw and cook, releasing their juices into the batter, really moistening the cake, and adding that authentic peach flavor, because right now it tastes kind of like artificial peach flavor. Okay, so I'm going to prep my pan, just some grease and parchment paper, you know how it goes, and I'm going to get my oven preheated. We're looking at 350 degrees. Let's do it. So I have my pan greased and with a piece of parchment paper at the bottom to ensure that the actual cake will come out at the end. So we are going to pour some of our batter into our pan. And I'm gonna try to do a thin layer because I want it to bake pretty evenly. Again, this is a really thick batter. Let's start there. Smooth that out. Parchment wants to kind of slide around, but that's okay. Okay, so now I'm just gonna swipe over it with my spatula to make sure all the peaches have batter on top of them. But I don't think a caramelized peach will be all that bad. Whoops. Uh-oh. Let me show you what this looks like. Here's what we're working with. A couple open pieces of peach, you can kind of see, but I imagine those are probably gonna peek out anyway. We're gonna see what happens. I will follow up with you if it's vital to cover up all those peach pieces, but I think it looks great. Here we are, our cake is ready to go in the oven. We have that preheated at 350 degrees. This is gonna bake for 40 to 45 minutes. We're gonna use the good old-fashioned toothpick option to check and see if the cake is done. You'll poke it with a toothpick. When it comes out clean, maybe with a couple crumbs, that means it's ready. No batter on the toothpick. Recipe does indicate the edges will be relatively browned or caramelized, so that's normal. So we're gonna start with 40, check it at 40, and then, yeah, I'll let you know how long it took altogether. And again, I'm using my toaster oven. See you in a minute. All right, let's make the frosting for our peach cake. It just came out of the oven and it is cooling currently. I've got my induction stove top and we're gonna turn this on a medium-high heat. So I'm gonna do like a 7, okay? We're gonna put in our butter that's already at room temperature. So we're gonna add the brown sugar and the heavy whipping cream. Do you think a whisk is better for this? Let's start with a whisk. We're gonna stir this together until it reaches a boil, where bubbles are covering the entire surface of the pan, okay? Some of that butter is still melting a little bit, but so far all that brown sugar has dissolved into the heavy cream and the melted butter. Once this comes to a boil, we are going to let it boil for 1 minute, and then we're gonna turn the heat off and remove it from the heat. I'd also like to address that I have my ice bath prepared behind me. I will grab it when we need to use it. And that is to force the frosting to come down in temperature faster. I'm whisking this pretty consistently just because I don't want any of the sugar to burn. All right, I'm going to use my phone to set a timer for 1 minute. And it says to stir frequently. So not constantly, but frequently. Here is our frosting base. Bubbling, pretty constant, all the way across. We've got 1 minute. Beautiful. I wish you could smell this. All right, timer's off. I'm gonna turn my stove off. So now it says to stir in the vanilla. And that's 1 teaspoon. I don't really bother actually measuring it out. I don't care. Just get her done, you know? Bubbles up a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, so we are going to put the frosting in the ice bath and stir it, making sure none of the water gets in the frosting. We're gonna scrape the sides occasionally so that nothing sticks. And we're gonna do this until the frosting has come back to room temperature and is thicker. So it's almost like we've made a caramel base and then we're gonna whip it up into frosting. It's basically what we've done. Let's see if that's considered room temperature. No, that's still pretty warm. Let's taste it. Yeah, just tastes like caramel. Good caramel. Really good caramel. So we'll just keep stirring. Okay, so our caramel essentially has come down to room temperature. It is very thick and beautiful. So according to the recipe, we are going to use the hand mixer and beat this with a whisk attachment for 3 to 5 minutes until it's light and fluffy, but still pourable. So we're gonna use the hand mixer again. I'm gonna just keep it in the pot, because why not? Just gonna look at the clock. It says to just beat the frosting for 3 to 5 minutes. It doesn't say what setting, on low, medium, or high, so I'm gonna just go with a steady medium, medium-high. Here's our caramel getting whipped up, whipped into shape. Here's our cake. Looks beautiful. You can see the little pockets of peach. You can see how caramelized it got on the side. Delicious. All right, well, I'll just be here whipping some caramel frosting and stuff. Just turn it off for just a second. just looks like really airy caramel. Just gonna scrape the sides and the bottom. And we continue. I'd call this frosting. Just gonna be honest. All right. It's definitely pourable. It's not as thick as it was. I mean, that's still pretty thick. Let's taste it. Good. It's caramel, basically. Here's our cake. Looks beautiful. Smells fantastic. I almost just dropped it. So we're just gonna put some of this frosting on top, I guess. Let's do that. Just gonna drizzle it just to start. Let's just shimmy this back and forth. I should grab my Lazy Susan to make this easier, but that's okay. Ooh, my cake is breaking. It's okay. The caramel will cement it back into place. Yeah, it's not a pretty color. It's not like whipped like I thought it was gonna be. I don't know. I don't love this frosting. It's not very frosting-like, but that's why we try recipes, you know? Might throw some sprinkles on it so it looks a little prettier. It's gotta be pretty. Can't be ugly. Just this like weird brown color. The cake itself was prettier by itself, but whatever. I got some white pearls. Let's do that really quick. We're all done. It's time to taste it. I have a little knife. I don't know how I want to cut it yet, so we just do a little square. We'll do a little, I don't know. I should have thought this through. Smells good. It's giving me major pineapple upside down cake vibes. You know? You know? Wasn't that my first video? Pineapple upside down cake? Claire's Outfits? I think so. All right, let's get close. Doop doody doodaloo doo. Hi. Okay, so we've got cake. It's very pretty. I hope you can see the color that it actually is. Got a nice caramelization. Focus! Yeah! You can see the pieces of the peach and the caramel frosting. Whatever, I don't want to talk about it. Let's taste it. Ooh, there's a piece of peach right there. Ha! Okay, ready? Let's try. I was not expecting that texture at all. That's good. That's way denser than I expected it to be, honestly. That is some hefty cake. The peach itself is very flavorful, but it's definitely overwhelmingly artificially peachy and very sweet. I don't think the caramel frosting was the best choice. I don't love the caramel frosting. But overall, it tastes fantastic. It's very rich. I need a glass of water. The caramel's kind of sticking to my teeth. You can see how caramelized it got, which adds a really good amount of flavor, but it is a moist cake. This is very dense, very wet. They would call it stodgy on the Great British Baking Show. Don't come for me and my bad accent. I'm gonna go back around. Well, we did it. That's all that matters. It tastes good. I think my coworkers will enjoy it as a little pick-me-up tomorrow at work. It's summery, it's sweet, and for free, my coworkers are gonna love it. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Thanks again. I love you. Mwah. Goodbye. So this frosting sat out for a while longer, and I think this is the texture it was supposed to be. I think I was still messing with it while it was still too warm, because now that it's sat for a while, I whipped it up again with just my spatula, and that is more frosting-like, if you ask me. So I'm not gonna talk too much smack about the frosting. Still seems like a lot of sweetness. I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit longer, whip it up and see how I feel about it. But there's your frosting update for you. Bye.